Tonight on the Black Channel, did I call it or did I call it? MAGA is dead. Not on its way. It's not on its way to getting there. That's it. It's over. Didn't even take one complete calendar year from inauguration day. But that is it. It's imploded. They are in full-scale implosion / revolt. It's gone down exactly the way I said it would. And it took me a while tonight because I just had to decide what I was going to show and what I wasn't. There's just so much happening here. And we're going to be catching up on a few things in particular here. So why don't we go ahead and start with, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back. Straw that broke the camel's back here. So you've got Trump saying that Nick Fuentes interview. Trump, who had dinner with Nick Fuentes, by the way, now claiming that he doesn't really know who Nick Fuentes is. So it's just, this guy's ridiculous, is putting it nicely. You let these things fester, you let them sit there and whatnot, and there's nothing you can do because this was what was beneath the surface. You have a white supremacist movement, a white nationalist movement, and you are not going to have white supremacy light. That's not what it's going to be. You come up with the white supremacy light, somebody else is going to come up and say they want full flavored white supremacy. Now you're no longer leading, you're having to fight off insurgents. And that's the problem that they run into here. Jason, why are you saying MAGA's dead? I mean, if you haven't been paying any attention, I suppose you have to ask that. Why are you saying that? But let's go into this right here. I could show you many things over the past few days. Why don't we go ahead to Exhibit A? I warned them. I warned them when they first attempted to rehabilitate him. You have this free radical who knows that he is unelectable. He can't win anything, but he can damn sure spoil your future and your fortunes. Nick Fuentes and his positions can't actually win anything. What they can do is to help you lose. Now that they have the power to make you lose. They don't have the power to help you win, but they got the power to make you lose. And I said it from the very beginning that if you attempt to rehabilitate him and you attempt to reintegrate him into your system, he's going to destroy it from the inside. I said that. I said that when Candace Owens tried to interview Nick Fuentes. Y'all go back and go check that. What happened? She comes back crying. Same thing with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has circled back around and decided this can be useful. Don't worry, this will eventually come back to bite him again. Nick Fuentes is not done biting the hands that fed him. He's not done yet. Well, old Tricky Nick here, now that Congress is back in session, he had said here last week, after I did, that MAGA was dead. I said MAGA was dead. After that, Nick Fuentes says MAGA's dead. But now that Congress is back in session and they're voting to release the Epstein files, Nick Fuentes, well, how does he address that? Well, here's how.
First of all, maybe this is the most obvious thing about the files. The release of this batch of 20,000 emails proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is black and white, undeniable, that Trump is a liar.
What? Damn! Did I call it or did I call it? Nothing ambiguous about that now, is there? Wasn't Nick literally sitting at Trump's table, dining with Trump? Wasn't Nick literally sitting at the table at Mar-a-Lago at Trump's table? Shades of Judas Iscariot come to mind, but wasn't he sitting at the table, literally dining at Trump's table with Trump? And now this. And by the way, he doesn't just say this once. He goes on and on and on.
So let's work through this piece by piece. First of all, maybe this is the most obvious thing about the files. The release of this batch of 20,000 emails proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is black and white, undeniable, that Trump is a liar. Trump lied about the files, and he lied in the furtherance of a conspiracy and a cover-up of the Epstein scandal. Because what his Department of Justice said in July is that there are no files. They didn't say there are no persons of interest. They didn't say there is no third-party investigation. They didn't say that there's nothing germane to a future investigation. They said there are no files, and they insisted upon this for months. They denied the existence of the files.
Exactly. And this...
So Nick is letting you all know this Epstein affair comes at the nexus of the things that motivate the white supremacist movement. You have politicians you cannot trust. And that's the whole thing about that, is that white supremacy can keep going as long as the power structure upholds its end of it. When it doesn't do that, that becomes a problem. Now they start looking for the people who may be responsible for, in empowering the system to ignore their demands. The Epstein files are the quintessential example of that. Of the fear that you have a white government that is in fact not controlled by white, quote, white people. And Nick Fuentes is laying it out there. So the Epstein files are front and center. The Epstein files are front and center. It's become so blatant. Here's the real issue. It was one thing when they were doing things on the sneak, but now it has gotten so blatant. It has gotten so in your face that it can no longer be ignored. There's where things fall apart. It falls apart there. So Trump can defend it all he wants to, but they're in revolt over them, dude. And it's not getting a whole lot better. It really, really isn't, because, oh boy, the other shoes are dropping. So you got Republicans voting to release the Epstein files. Trump is trying to do that bully thing that he does. He's trying to do that bully thing that he does. You got one congressman here talking about, I'll be voting no on the Epstein hoax. It's like, dude, read the room. Read the room. Read the room, man. Read the room. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene has decided, like Nick Fuentes, that there is far more to gain opposing Trump than there is supporting him. And I got to tell you, this is smart politics. It really, really is. Let me explain to you why. Trump rode to power not on a conservative agenda, but a populist agenda. He came to power claiming that he was the ultimate outsider. He came to power saying that because he's a billionaire, he can't be bought off by the corporate interests. He came to power saying that he's not with the Democrats or the Republicans, he's with America first. And that resonated. It also resonated because he was not afraid to make enemies within the Republican Party on his way to power. Now, that was the thing right there that validated him to everyone else. He didn't just talk about it and then he only made enemies with Democrats. He was willing to make enemies out of Republicans on his way to the White House. That was what legitimized him. That you could see that he was willing to make enemies out of Republicans during the campaign. Something that you really hadn't seen a whole lot of before. That was new. That was new. So, he never disavowed any of his previous positions. So this was less of a conservative and more of a populist. It's like, oh man, we got something different to vote for here. And the Epstein files were part of that because we all know that the American government is corrupt. And when we say corrupt, we don't just mean politically corrupt or socially corrupt. They are financially corrupt. They are sexually corrupt. What? They are perverted. They are degraded. We know this. Congressman George Santos went on Tucker Carlson talking about the fact that you got congressmen sitting up here having sexual liaisons in the Capitol building. All kinds of mess going on. So you have depraved, debauched sexual perverts. So when we say corruption, we mean corruption across the board. Not just morally corrupt, morally bankrupt. You have heathens and sadists. And the Epstein files are just one smoking gun. That one, however, is just so blatant because it covers everything. What it exposes is the fact that the American government is so corrupt, so morally bankrupt, and so obviously so that other nations are able to literally control your leaders through blackmail. There's not just one or two of them. Across the board, they have entire filing cabinets of compromising material that controls your political leaders. Well, no wonder you can't get them to do what they're supposed to do after they get elected. No wonder you can't, because they're not your representatives. They're somebody else's representatives, on account of the fact that they got a little folder with some photographs and some video and some girls who are now adults who will testify. So they're like, you're exactly the kind of politician we want in office because we got the dirt on you. So we're going to make sure you win. And then after you win, you better vote the right way on everything. You do not belong to your constituents. You belong to us. And the Epstein files were the quintessential example of that. In such a broad, sweeping, global manner, it was everything all packaged together in one neat little package. And that was why all of us understood that, like the JFK files, like the MLK files, if you release the Epstein files, it's like, okay, you know what the hell's really going on. Now, when you see them fight your government so blatantly, openly wanting to refuse to do something that should be very obvious, enough is enough. Marjorie Taylor Greene realizes something. Now, I said this while you had the old dead black media looking at you, rolling the bowling ball, Martin, trying to frighten everybody and tell everybody you better vote Democrat because the Republicans are this, that, and the other. Remember, I told you all, the Republicans don't like Trump. The Republicans don't like Trump. Trump was trying to stack the leadership in the House and the Senate with his cronies from Florida. He's moved his power base from New York to Florida. He wanted Rick Scott to be the Republican leader of the Senate. And the Republicans instead chose John Thune, even though Trump made it very clear he wanted Rick Scott. The Republicans are like, yeah, we ain't doing that. Remember, I told y'all, the Republicans don't like Trump. They ain't trying to fool with that. He might have taken power, but they are all sitting in the wings waiting for his downfall. Remember, go back before 2024 election. I said that. Those of you who've been here, you heard me saying it during the program. I told you all that's what was going to happen. I said the Republicans didn't like him after he gets elected. I'm like, yeah, they're going to do everything they can to show you're not calling no shots. And so now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who actually works with the representatives and with the Senate, well, she knows. She knows who really rocks with him and who really doesn't. She knows who's just saying they support him because of politics and who actually doesn't. And what she's showing you is that, yeah, there are more people who are not really with him than actually are. And most frightening of all, this is Trump's last term in office. He won't have any power after this. So if you are staking out your future, you cannot stake it out with Trump. Trump is not going to be calling any shots after 2026. Forget 2028. He won't be calling any shots after 2026. Truth be told, he's probably not going to be calling those shots after 2025. If the Republicans lose the House and Senate, he won't be calling any shots after 2025. And for the people who are actually looking long-term, and long-term means more than 12 months, if you're looking more than long-term, more than 12 months, you can see the writing is already on the wall. The writing's already on the wall. So you would have to be a very shallow, short-term individual with absolutely no perspective if you're hitching your wagon to Trump long-term. Long-term what? There ain't no long-term. Marjorie Taylor Greene is thinking about other things. If I had to hazard a guess, I would actually think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is thinking about running for governor of Georgia. Just mark my words on that one. If I had to actually hazard a guess, I would actually think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is aiming to run for governor of Georgia. Now, take a look at the current governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp has been sideways with Trump all this time. Brian Kemp would not back down from Trump either. Trump made all kinds of, insults and stuff. Brian Kemp has never bent the knee. He has never bent the knee to Trump openly. Trump has criticized him, called him names. He tried that bully stuff. Kemp just kept it pushing. Marjorie knows this. So if there is a person whose credentials show that she's not going to just rock with, they're not going to just roll whatever Washington does, she's getting that reputation now that she stands for quote unquote the right things, and she's not afraid to stand up to Trump, and she's not going to bow down and get bullied. This plays good in Georgia. She doesn't have to worry about nationally. She's not getting elected nationally. This plays good in Georgia. And let's be clear, Marjorie Taylor Greene right now is the most prominent, well-known politician in the state of Georgia right now. Folks, you want to talk about controversy creates cash? Shout out Eric Bischoff. You can't deny that. She is the most well-known, most recognized politician in the state of Georgia today. Not Raphael Warnock, not even the governor Brian Kemp. Her. She's the one they're doing the interviews with and everything. Marjorie Taylor Greene has shot herself to the top of the pecking order in notoriety. Can't deny it. So now that she's got the spotlight, now that she's got the limelight, the real question is, what do you do about it? What do you do with it? And what she's doing is carving out that she is different, that she is concerned about people's financial needs, that she's concerned about affordability. She's swerved away from the culture war stuff there, and she's all about, do y'all have money and taking American jobs and affordability? And Keep your hands off the girls. Man. So I'm just letting you all know that I'm not saying that this is not her principles. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that she is making specific strategic she's taking out specific political positions that are going to distinguish her and differentiate her from Trump. And this is the right thing to do. It's called counter-programming. She's counter-programming. You have to have something that makes you valuable that isn't hitched to Trump. See, the way that Trump does things is he gets everybody to be his damn lackeys and his groupies. He gets you to be his lackey and his groupie, and then after you've bent the knee and kissed his ass and signed up to everyone in his stupid positions, if he wants to pull the plug on you, then he can pull the plug on you because you've gone so hard in the paint for him. RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel. This is what he did to everybody. He bullied everybody into submission, Marco Rubio. And so you get so deeply buried off into his positions that you become attached at the hip to him. So when he wants to outcast you and excommunicate you, that's it. You lose everything. Because you didn't have any political power of your own. You got your political power by being his groupie. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't really do that. I mean, she was all MAGA and whatnot, but she has broken ties at just the right time. So she has played this very well. This actually plays very well for her. You know why? Because Donald Trump tapped into something. He tapped into discontent with the establishment. Trump tapped into discontent with the establishment. Only the problem is that now Trump looks more corrupt and more dirty as the establishment than any of the previous establishments had been. That's the problem. He used to be the guy who was fighting the establishment, or at least sold himself that way. Now he has become the establishment. So you see, there's a whole lot more to be gained by fighting him now that he has become the establishment. The American people are still on their own wave. The American people are still backing their own interests. Trump becoming the establishment is like, dude, you got voted out of office in 2020 because of this garbage. Marjorie Taylor Greene is looking downfield. She's looking down scope. And she's recognizing about what really resonates. So as far as politics is concerned, she is distinguishing herself and differentiating herself, and Trump attacking her actually now legitimizes her. So she knows what she's doing. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been posting about this right now and whatnot, and she made it very, very clear that she was going to vote, to release the Epstein files. That ran very, very foul of Trump. He didn't like that at all. So she puts out this tweet here today, because she's been on the Sunday shows. I stood with President Trump when almost no one else would. I campaigned for him all over this country and spent millions of my own dollars getting him elected. That's why being called a traitor isn't just hurtful. It puts a target on my back and puts my life in danger. And it only divides our country even more. But even through this, I still support the Trump administration and want to see it succeed for the American people. Well played, Marjorie. Well played. She said, I still support the Trump administration. I want to see it succeed for the American people. This is her putting herself above the fray, above the pettiness. Folks, this is smart politics. This is smart politics. I believe in transparency. That's why I've pushed to release the Epstein files. Survivors deserve the truth, and I won't apologize for standing with them. I'll let you all hear some of her remarks on CNN.
I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important.
His remarks have been hurtful. Oh, man. Oh, man. Folks, first of all, no offense, Marjorie. Oh, people. Somebody's got to let some of these women out here know, some of these women with certain complexions know, if you're going to do the makeup thing, you can't just do your makeup in a t-shirt and then put on something else. I mean, y'all tell me, is that a t-shirt or is this skin? That doesn't look like a shirt she's wearing there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm like, okay, it's all right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just couldn't notice. I'm like, if that's a shirt, that's real thin. If that's a shirt, it's real thin. So no disrespect, but all right, if that's a shirt, it's real thin. All righty. But, think about that for a few moments. She said that she was hurt. She says she was hurt. She says his words were hurtful. People. Because the reason why I was taking a look at the two-tone here was I was about to say, you have a woman, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale, tan skin. What? And she says that this man hurt her. She says that as a woman, this man's words hurt my feelings. I am wounded. I'm like, oh man. Y'all know what she's tapping into there. Yeah, we see them roots. We see those roots on there. So it's. But in any case, she said that she is wounded. She said her feelings were hurt. You know how the hell that goes. Y'all see what she's tapping into there. I am a white woman who has been hurt and wounded. However shall I survive? But I will soldier on. Like, oh man, she is giving him the work. I'm like, Trump, do you see what she's doing?
However, his remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And people,
now this is serious. When was the last time you heard Marjorie Taylor Greene, a woman who for the past 3-4 years has been yelling, shrieking, screaming, squealing, hurling invectives, use the words hurt and heart? Do y'all see how she just said that all in one sentence? I'm telling you that these were prepared remarks. She just said those words were hurtful, but I have something in my heart. She sounds like a pastor's wife. Do y'all hear the way she's speaking and the words she's using? She's talking about she's hurt. It was hurtful and that, but I have something in my heart. Man, come on now. I want y'all to see the levels of this, see the layers of this. She's talking totally differently. She's not squealing. She's not all angry and yelling. Who are you and what did you do with Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean, you look like her, but you're not acting like her at all. When I'm telling you all this, she is repositioning herself and rebooting herself. This is a complete transformation. This is a reboot. She's talking about touching and feelings and her being hurt. This is what media relations people tell you. Media agents, PR agents, we need to change your image. Here's the words you need to use. Here's what you need to say, and here's how you need to say it. We need to soften your image. And I'm just letting you know, take a look at these views stuff. It's working.
Part that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
People, did you just hear that? Jason, you slow walking, you damn right I ain't. Did y'all hear that? Damn! She said the most hurtful thing. The most hurtful thing was he called me a traitor. People, of all the names that Donald Trump has called people, and particularly women, in the last 20 years, where does traitor rank on the list of terrible things that Donald Trump has said about women, about people? Where does the word traitor rank on that list? Is traitor in the top 5, the top 10, the top 20 as far as terrible comments? Think of all the nasty things Trump has said. Where does the word traitor rank on the list of nasty things he said? If the worst is number 1 and the least terrible is number 100, where the hell does traitor rank on that list? We're not thinking about the awful things, the nasty things he said. You're getting ahead of me, JM. I'm about to get to that. Some of y'all who've been with me, you see where it's going. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. I'm getting there. Just patience. So he hurt my feelings and because he called me a traitor. And I would like you all to know that that's the kind of thing that puts me in danger. Man. That's the kind of thing that endangers me. He's endangering my life. People, if this was Barack Obama she was talking about, if this was Raphael Warnock she was talking about, what do you think the effect would be of her saying that? He has hurt my feelings and his words have put my life in danger. Could you imagine? I mean, if this was a black male she was talking about, if this were a black male she was talking about and she said this part.
Of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
Did you all hear that? She didn't say put people's lives in danger. She said it can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger. Oh. Y'all, she is playing the Becky card, the Karen card, the Susan card. She is throwing all them damn cards on the table. Well played, Marjorie. I mean, she used the right verbiage and everything. She didn't say it puts people's lives in danger. She said it puts me. It puts me in danger. Well played. Her media consultants and whoever her coaches were, they told her exactly what to say. I told her exactly what to say. I mean, this is usually the card they play, with black males. But she said, let me go ahead and flap this thing out here right quick. And take a look, folks. I mean, they went, by the way, couldn't help but notice too. We got our two bleach blondes over here. No disrespect. They got their filters on. Everything's all softened and demurred. And got the Bulldogs. She got the Betty Crocker haircut over here. She got the Jenna Jameson haircut over here. Man, I'm telling you. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, she got coached on how to play it. She was like, she's going to portray him as the big brute, putting her life in danger. Well played, Marjorie. Well played. Look, Trump is going to say nasty things, and she's not responding the way that Jasmine Crockett would, or even the way that male Republicans would. She's responding as, I am the soft, helpless female. I am the soft, helpless female. I can't fight this big, gigantic barbarian. The best I can do is to get hurt and hit and yet to attempt to crawl on to defend the people of Georgia and what they need. You want to talk about contrast? He talks nasty. She acknowledges what he said, but refuses to respond in kind. People, this is Media Consulting 101. This is Media Consulting 101. But it also shows you that she knows this takes away from him. She knows that. Not a good sign. MAGA's dead. And your chief females are like, yeah, forget about it. MAGA's dead. Marjorie wasn't done, though, people. Marjorie was not done. She wanted to let us all know that, by the way, this is going on. She wanted to let us know that this is going on. She said the hoax pizza deliveries have started now to my house and my family members. Update. We also received a pipe bomb threat on my construction company's office building. President Trump's unwarranted and vicious attacks against me were a dog whistle to dangerous radicals that could lead to serious attacks on me and my family. Damn! People, Trump thought he was going to play rough. I mean, she is like, I am the victim. I am the Vicky Victoria victim. I mean, she is outright saying his attacks on her are a dog whistle to dangerous radicals from a woman who has ignored white supremacist dog whistles of violence against black folk. But I'm not going to, well, we won't roast you on that today, Marjorie, but oh boy. Y'all see, she is doing the helpless white woman thing. She is working it. Oh, she wanted to give y'all the updates. She's getting hoax pizza deliveries. Oh man, she is working it. Unfortunately, I've been down this road before. As a matter of fact, as I campaigned all over the country and defended President Trump, I received dozens of swatting calls on my house and my family members' homes, along with these hoax pizza deliveries. But even more severely, I have received some of the most death threats of any member of Congress. Some of the most death threats of any member of Congress. Okay, you might want to go back and go check that. That led to multiple men, no women, being convicted and serving time in prison. Well, that's nice, Marjorie, because for most of us, there isn't even an investigation, much less an arrest, much less a conviction. So you're actually doing pretty good. And all of that came from the left. You see, folks, if you didn't think it wasn't politics, it is. Now that President Trump has called me a traitor, how many times is she going to talk about that being called a traitor thing? Okay, folks, if you thought it was just one post or whatever, nope, she wants to remind you. Now that President Trump has called me a traitor, which is absolutely untrue and horrific. I think there should be a semicolon here, Ms. Green, but in case, Mark Levin has been calling me a traitor. And so have other prominent, likely paid social media activists. This puts blood in the water and creates a feeding frenzy, and it could ultimately lead to a harmful or even deadly outcome. Also, the timing of this just happens to be days before we take the vote on releasing the Epstein files. I love America and the American people. And I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and always do so. Return. Space. I am not a traitor. Return. Space. However, when the President of the United States irresponsibly calls a member of Congress of his own party traitor, quotation marks, Ms. Green, not comma, quotation marks. He is signaling what must be done to a traitor. I fought harder than anyone to help President Trump get elected. Would you like a do-over, ma'am? Excuse me? Okay, you're going to say that he's threatening your life, and then I fought harder than anyone else to get him elected. Would you like a do-over? Would you like to review that little life plan you had there? And I support his administration and the promises we made on the campaign. Okay, people, these two things are not compatible. These two, he's putting blood in the water. He's creating a feeding frenzy. This could lead to a harmful or deadly outcome. I still support his administration. To the women in here listening right now, ladies, sidebars. If you had a man in your life and, you were telling folk that he's going around saying stuff that could put your life in danger. He's put blood in the water, mama. He's created a feeding frenzy, mama. He's got folks stalking me, mama. They're coming to the house, mama. They're threatening me with pipe bombs, mama. I'm scared that I'm going to get hurt or even killed, mama. I still love him and I still support our marriage.
Oh, please.
I'm just asking, ladies, is that the way it goes? He's going around talking about me so bad. He's telling the females across the street that I'm going to come kill them. And they're cocking their guns and they're getting baseball bats and knives together. And they're calling in bomb threats and they're banging on the windows. And it's a feeding frenzy, mama. I'm scared I'm going to get hurt. I'm scared I'm going to get killed. But, I still support him and our marriage. Is that the response to all of that? Maybe I should have a poll here in a little bit so the ladies can tell me how that goes. Because, fellas, for those of you who have daughters, if your daughter is on the phone calling you and telling you all that and then says, but I still stand by our marriage. I guess you're going to be wondering if you got a brain damaged daughter maybe. But I'm just wondering, ladies, is that the way it goes? Because I'm reading all this up here and I'm like, okay. He's signaling what must be done to a traitor. Okay. So, are y'all still rocking together? I still support his administration. Oh, really? You support the administration who's put blood in the water, created a feeding frenzy, is ultimately could lead to your harm or your death, and is signaling what must be done to a traitor, but you still support them. All right. I am a Republican in good standing and have paid all of my dues to the NRCC. My voting record is one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, and I'm very proud of that. The toxic and dangerous rhetoric in politics must end, and we need healing in this country for all Americans. Then she posts a screen capture here about doxing, which, by the way, Representative Green, if that really matters to you like that, then as a elected representative, why have you not criminalized this stuff? You know, a black hate crime bill would be very synonymous with this. I've talked about this for years, making false accusations that should be a felony. If you make false accusations, especially false accusations that involve law enforcement, if you make false accusations, especially against a black person, oh, here, hold this 10, 20 years. You do that, and I promise you, you're going to watch those numbers drop by 99%. You start giving folk 10, 20 years for doing that, and all of a sudden, that little freedom they feel like picking up the phone and doing stupid stuff, that's going to go away quick. That's going to go down quick. See, they're willing to do that if they think that the worst that can happen is they get their Twitter account closed or something. They got folks hunting them down to say, here, hold this 10, 20 years right quick for that phone call you called in. You do that? Okay. All of a sudden, folks are like, yeah, let me just put up a nasty tweet instead. Let me just do that. Yeah, for Shiloh Hendricks, the would-be Shiloh Hendricks is out there. It's like, yeah, let me just get back on Twitter and yell nigger over there. Let me do that. That's what it would end up being. It ended up being that. That's what it would be. So, Marjorie's upset. Understand. And she wants you all to know that there's blood in the water. There's so much blood in the water that she still supports Trump and his administration. And I understand here, Marjorie. I understand the nuance here because in reality, she's not saying that she supports Trump. She's saying she supports his administration. I pointed this out before. So I see she's making a distinction between him and his administration. But ma'am, that's really a distinction, not a difference. You can say that you support the MAGA. You support MAGA policies. But if you support his administration, you support him. So you can try to thread that needle, but nah. But yeah, folks, I mean, it's not just Thomas Massey anymore. The virus is spread. Oh, yeah. And one more thing about those policies. I just mentioned. Oh, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene again. Oh, yeah. And one more thing. This is just a couple of days ago. The Fox News numbers say it all. 70% of H-1B visas go to India. 10 to 15% go to China. 80% are entry-level jobs that should be going to young Americans. Our own people are being pushed out of tech, medicine, and every major industry. I'm introducing a bill to eliminate H-1B visas to make sure American workers come first again. America has the most talented people in the world. That's not what Trump said. And I will always fight for them. Oh, man. So you can see the view counts on that. Oh, Trump, as soon as Trump comes out defending the H-1B visas and saying that he told Laura Ingraham we don't have enough talent. She said, Laura Ingraham said, we have plenty of talented Americans. He said, no, you don't. I mean, that was Trump. No, you don't. He said, no, you don't. Yeah, Mr. America First became Damn America. You ain't worried about that. Mr. America First said, no, you don't have any talented Americans. As a matter of fact, let me go back and show this to you all here again, just in case anybody was wondering. This was me on Twitter. This was me on Twitter pointing this stuff out in real time. Kevin Sorbo, we all know his suspected white supremacist credentials, but in any case, they didn't like Trump when he said this.
H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
We have plenty of talented people in America. No, you don't. Kevin Sorbo. What an atrocious thing to say. This will cost Republicans the midterms. My response, MAGA is dead. Officially over. It's all downhill from here. If you'll all remember, almost a year ago, it was Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk saying this. Remember? Yeah, it was the two immigrants. That was them saying it almost a year ago. Now, you've got the head man himself saying it. Now, isn't that interesting? Almost a year ago, it was his henchman saying it. Now, you've got Trump himself saying it almost a year later. This is after he saw the online backlash, after all of that. Folks, who's really pulling the strings? Mr. America First, and we're going to bring all the jobs back. Who's really pulling the strings, man? Who's really pulling the strings? Because as far as I can see, the agenda and the philosophy are all holding the same. So who's really pulling the strings? Oh boy. I told you, MAGA is dead. You don't get to come back from this, dude. You don't get to come back from that. And that's not what happens. So he can go ahead and ride it on out. But that's all it's going to be. You don't get to come back from that one. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is staking out her claim on the issues she feels like really matter. She's taking out her claim there. Want to show you one more thing here from Marjorie. Marjorie says, I am now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, people. Marjorie, this is smart politics, ma'am. People, do you realize that Marjorie Taylor Greene is now centering herself as being on the same level as the President of the United States? She is now centering herself as being in equal relevance and significance to the President of the United States. Now, if this were Gavin Newsom saying this, you would immediately recognize that for what it is. If this was Gavin Newsom, you would see that that's Gavin trying to, demonstrate and illustrate that he's on the same level as the president. Well, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene doing it. If you don't think that this is media savvy, I'm trying to show you. The man I supported and helped get elected. Baby, you talking like jilted lovers here. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men. She keeps coming back to the men thing, so she's going for that female vote, who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now. This time by the President of the United States. As a woman, what? I take threats from men seriously. Folks, did I call it or did I call it? Oh, she is working that white woman card, man. Which constituency is this for? Which constituency is this for? Doesn't she sound, isn't this something like the Democrat females would say? All right. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. Damn! Y'all, do you see that? I mean, she didn't just leave it at threats. She said, by the way, let me go ahead and drag Jeffrey Epstein's name. Trump is threatening me. Let me go ahead and remind folks about Trump and Epstein right quick. Let me just do that. She wants to show Trump, you think you can play rough? So can I. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me, which also fuels the venomous nature of his radical internet trolls, many of whom are paid, this is completely shocking to everyone. You didn't have to put this there, ma'am. My phone is blowing up with constant, amazing support. I'm so thankful. Okay, all right. The political industrial complex and the toxic, violent nature of American politics must end. Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves. 23 million views. She posted this yesterday morning and has gotten 23 million views. Of course, did you know that's kind of a relative thing there on Twitter and whatnot, because it really goes to impressions, but that means it has been seen far more than the average Twitter post. Well, one person here wanted to post this right here. I never thought leopards would eat my face, sobs woman who voted for leopards eating people's faces party. So, there's that. But oh yeah, y'all, she's working it there. She's not posting too much, but she's working that. Although there is somebody else who wanted to weigh in. Jasmine Crockett has entered the chat. Okay, now that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said it, do y'all now believe me when I say that Trump fuels hate against those that oppose him? Will faux news, Fox News, finally start to address that this man has created a permission structure of hate and violence, or will you only talk about it when it's one of your beloveds? Next time you want to run a story about me legally paying for security, maybe run one of the insane amounts of threats that I get that you are complicit in fueling. So Marjorie Taylor Greene literally handed the nightstick to Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine is swinging that thing with reckless abandon. Yeah. Not going well. MAGA is dead. It's dead. forget about it. Support cratered, imploded. You're done. Because this is the dam breaking. You see, you have credibility when you can shut people up, when people are scared, when people are intimidated. That works. But you see, if they're not afraid of you anymore, well, that goes badly. It goes badly when they're not afraid of you. When people speak against you openly, defiantly, proudly, that doesn't go very well. I'd like to circle back around here. I want to circle back around here to old Nick Fuentes. Because Nick had something to say here. That, by the way, a whole bunch of folks here trying to rehabilitate their images. Whole bunch of folks trying to rehabilitate their images. And one in particular, by the way, if you have the kids around, you're going to want to go ahead and have them take a break here for the next 30 seconds or so, because I'm not going to edit this. I want you to hear it exactly the way that it was said. But this is another one of these posts where old Nick is going to say the quiet part out loud. This is Nick, by the way, saying the quiet part out loud for all of y'all.
And it goes the same way in the right wing. Let me ask you this. If I went live on my show on Monday, this coming Monday, and I said, fuck Islam. I said, these Muslims need to go home. Fuck them. They're barbarians. They're third worldists. They like to live in open sewage and bomb crap. You think any conservative would disavow me? Any of them? Any Republican? You think if I was known for saying that, do you think I would have any trouble getting into CPAC or the New York Young Republican Club Gala or the GOP? Of course not, because Laura Loomer has access to the White House and she says stuff like that. Ben Shapiro has access to Trump and he says stuff like that. Could you imagine? Not to be a boomer here, but could you imagine if the shoe were on the other foot? It has to be left unsaid. Could I turn around and say F Judaism and those Jews and send them back to Israel? Like, it's literally unthinkable to even say the words. But we all know it's tolerated with Muslims. We all know it's tolerated with blacks. We all know it's tolerated with Hispanics, Asians. And yes, for far too long, it was tolerated against whites and Christians. And that's just the part that got left out. But now that we have this culture of liberalization.
Oh, so he admits that, yeah, it's okay for them to attack black people. I want to remind you all of one thing here. Here is why it is particularly evil to do that. Black people are the poorest, most powerless people in America. The most controlled, the most oppressed. The poorest people, when you organize not against the folks who have influence and control of your daily life, of where you live, if you live, who control the political structure, who control the media, you don't mobilize against them. No, you do like real bullies, real stand-up bullies, and you go target and beat up the poorest, most handicapped, most powerless guy in the room. You don't go after the fellas with real strength who really do something to you. You target the weak little handicapped kid over there with the broken wheel on his wheelchair. Well, that's the one. You knock him out of his wheelchair and start kicking him. That's the one you're going after. And then you're complaining when the 300-pound bully over there who's taking your lunch money and raping your wife and stealing your car, well, you ain't doing nothing to him. You're not focusing on him. You're focusing on the little powerless kid over here that you already control and dominate. You're beating on him. You're not focused on this other guy over here who controls your wife, controls your kids, controls your street, controls your TV, controls your bank account, controls where you can go. You're not laying a glove on him. Just the powerless kid who doesn't have anything. All he can really do is, if he does get out of line at all hell comes raining down on him. As a black person, if you do something to a white person, even if you don't do something to a white person, you'll be punished. If you do something to a white person, you'll be punished if you don't. You'll be punished if you're just suspected. You'll be punished if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time and they just feel like doing something to you. And it will be upheld by the system. They will all get together and defend it. But the folks over here who are actually doing things to them, who get away with it, well, you're not doing anything about that. And now you want to jump up in 2025? Now you want to start telling the truth about that in 2025? Now that you've already handed everything over to them? Now that you have been emboldening them and reinforcing them all this time, now you want to say something? Now you want to be indignant? That's not the way that goes. That's not the way that goes. That means something. In the chat room there, let me go ahead and get Kite Runner up here on Zoom for me. So Kite Runner would like to articulate a few things. So why don't I go ahead and get you on up here? And you can tell everybody, because of course we all know that you represent the courageous people. So of course, since you're not a coward, you'll have no problem with going ahead and explaining that and articulating that for everybody. We're very, very glad that you do not represent the coward wing. Of course, we would never want you to be running around wearing your mother's lace thong or anything like that. So we're very glad that that's not the case. So we'll go ahead and just throw up the link to the Zoom here. This is just for Kite Runner, not for everybody else. This is just for Kite Runner here, so they can go ahead and let everybody know exactly what that means there. So very glad to see that. As a matter of fact, here I think that presents a good opportunity to go ahead and take a very brief non-commercial break, because there's some other things I want to talk to and deal with here as well. They also dovetail off of what I said last night. A few things I want to discuss that actually dovetail off of what we discussed last night at the end of the program. Just want you all to be aware of some of what's going on out there, because it is going on. They are proving me right in real time. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Erwin Davis. Thank you very much for your support tonight, Mr. Davis. We appreciate that. To my man, Andrew L. My man, Mr. Richburg, as always, thank you very much for your support here. To Mr. Kelly, Logic Before Emotion, giving out some memberships. W, Zavon Scott, Fuquan, thank you all very much for your support. Quentin, we're going to take a very brief non-commercial break here. When we come back, we'll see if Mr. Kite Runner, the Courageous, goes ahead and gives us a call here and shows that they are a true grit and courage, because they want to lecture us about profiles and courage, and we are more than welcome to be lectured and educated about that. Of course we do. And we will be back with you all here. This is the Black Channel.
True masculinity isn't about power. It's about presence. Confidence that's natural, grounded, and real. Begin your ritual with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Wash and Conditioner, infused with the goodness of mangoes and organic botanicals to cleanse deeply, soften, and revive your beard. Follow with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Oil, a powerful blend of natural oils that nourish, strengthen, and add a smooth, confident shine. Complete the look with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard and Body Butter. Pure organic hydration that keeps your skin and beard soft, healthy, and refined.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Just to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the games. Mr. Be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And just a reminder here that the folks who are doing the most complaining right now, they have emboldened these people. They've emboldened them. They've empowered them, not just for months, but for years. They've emboldened them not just for months, but for years. One of the people in particular that they've done here is Elon Musk. Folks, I want to just inform you of something here. Elon is a liar and a con artist. He is a guy who makes all kinds of far-fetched promises that he grossly oversells things. He did not create the electric car. He did not create the Tesla car. He did a Thomas Edison. He rug pulled the company out from under the guys who actually did make Tesla. All of you should know that one by now. And this is the American way. This is the American. Ray Kroc and McDonald's. Thomas Edison and literally everybody he dealt with, Nikola Tesla, Granville Woods, and Elon Musk followed the same damn strategy. Anybody remember the Boring Company, the Blowtorch Company, the Tesla houses, the solar panel company? Oh yeah, one more thing. Every time Elon suggests doing something, every time he suggests doing something, do you realize that it always involves the government? Elon actually does not come up with ideas that from the beginning are business to business. His ideas are, quote, ideas are always rooted in some sort of government partnership, some sort of government funding. Oh, we'll make Hyperloop. That's got to be paid for by your city or your state government. Won't be paid for by him. He comes up with an idea and then says about how your city or your state or your federal government needs to pay for it. Yeah, this is your European delineated genius that they keep regaling us about. Well, folks, Elon said that the electric car was going to save the planet and was going to save the environment. That's what he said. Remember that? He's always told us it's going to save the planet and save the environment. Hey, has the planet gotten saved yet? Asking for a friend. He said the Hyperloop was going to end urban congestion. How's that working out? The Tesla semi-truck. Oh, remember that one? Oh, that's not vaporware. The Tesla semi. Oh, it's going to revolutionize transportation. We won't need any more drivers. And literally every other week I was getting a call. For those of you who are subscribed here or to my other YouTube channel, I was getting calls from truckers. Remember during the pandemic? Oh, they were all sweating bullets. And Jason, you don't understand. This isn't like anything else. I mean, take a look at Tesla, most valuable company in the world. Tesla, the Tesla semi is gonna. There won't be any more truck drivers. Jason, the truck is on the stage, just rolling around. Man, this Pepsi gonna buy a bunch of them. Walmart gonna buy a bunch of them. Jason, it's over for us, man. It's over. Hey, to all my Walmart truck drivers and all my Frito-Lay truck drivers, is it over yet? Are the robot automated truckers on the road yet? Have they taken over yet? It's been half a decade. Can you find one of these Tesla semis actually working? It's been half a decade. How is the Tesla semi going so far? People, Elon Musk realized something. Every time he puts out a press release, he doesn't sell products, he sells ideas. He sells ambitions. And every time that he makes an announcement, the stock price goes up. He's not selling products, he's selling vision. Just like Wall Street is no longer selling profits, it sells value. What the hell is that? So please understand what Elon Musk is really selling. He is selling vision. I have a vision. And when he realized that he could sell that, every time he makes an announcement of some incredible new thing, well, the stock price goes up. And what we now realize is that he structured the company to take advantage of when that occurs. So every time he makes an announcement, makes a press release, he puts together some crazy stage with futuristic looking lighting. And then he tells you about the next thing they're going to do that is going to change the cosmos. And then he watches his stock price. And then next thing you know, okay, I need to go ahead and scoop some of that profit off the top of that. That is his business model. Making incredibly overhyped announcements. Well, Jason, the Cybertruck, yeah, how about the windows on the Cybertruck? Damn! By the way, where are all those happily contented and satisfied Cybertruck owners? Yeah, there's a thrilled bunch of people. So, in case went out, we might have dropped there for just a moment, but we're back with you all here. So, in any case, dropped out there for a moment, but we're back with you here. So, folks, he's made a business model out of taking stuff that's already out there and then telling you it can do incredibly much more simply because he's involved. Remember, his whole pitch about buying Twitter was that he was going to, quote, unlock Twitter's true potential. Remember? Remember those exact words? I covered it here. Elon Musk swore that if he was allowed to own Twitter, that he and he alone possessed the vision necessary to, quote, unlock Twitter's true potential. Hey, folks, how's that going? Well, he got himself into a mess there because he was actually required to go buy Twitter. He actually had to finish buying it. How is that gone? Show me the revolutionary changes at Twitter. I'll wait. Sound familiar? So this is his business model. His business model is to make wild, outrageous, outlandish claims that he's going to revolutionize the technology you're already using and it'll do incredible things it wasn't able to do before simply because he's there. And then you wait for the incredible to happen. And the only thing that really happens is his stock price goes up for a while. And yeah, now he's learned he can rinse and repeat that. Well, folks, he done took it to a whole new level. If the Tesla car was going to clean up the environment, Hyperloop was going to decongest the cities, and SpaceX is going to take men to the stars. That Optimus robot that nobody asked for, nobody's demanding, and you can't even really think of a use case for, well, people, Elon has come up with an explanation for why it is that he needs to get unlimited funding for the Optimus robot. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, from Elon Musk's actual Twitter account, Optimus will eliminate poverty and provide universal high income for all.
Nigga, please.
People, Elon Musk is saying that for those of you who were wondering how we were going to make universal income work, Elon Musk is now telling you that he can eliminate poverty and not just eliminate poverty, but provide universal high income for all, A-L-L, all, everybody, if only you will fund his robot. People, at what point does this guy say something that is just so unbelievable BS that you just say, okay, I'm out? Even if people, we already have robot toys. Nobody ever thought a robot would be able to do. People, please explain the logic of that. How does that work? Walk this out logically. How do you start with a robot and end with no more poverty and universal income for all? How do you get there? What's the roadmap that ends up there? Please explain to me the logical roadmap that you're pursuing where you start with this robot and you end with zero poverty and high income for everyone. Because I see how it ends with high income for one person. Oh, I see how it ends with high income for Elon. I see how it ends there. I just don't see how it ends with high income for everybody else. Some folk down here were like, hello, Elon, does Farmer Optimus will do farming and eliminate property for farmers? Or do they mean poverty for farmers. So just in case you were wanting to see that. Yeah, we're just kind of curious. Okay, exactly. How is this gonna? Can you just go ahead and explain the methodology here? How do we start with your robot and end with zero poverty and high end? What in the hell? Then you have other people saying things that they know are not correct. Folks, this is what somebody said this a few years ago during the pandemic. They said that America used to create products and services. Now it just creates bubbles. America used to create things. It used to create revolutionary things. It used to create breakthroughs. It used to do that. Now it just creates bubbles. It creates individuals who have learned that go around and just outrageously exaggerate and overblow whatever new gadget or doodad you've come up with. Everything. If you want funding, whatever you're doing, swear that it is a new technology that will change the world. That's your pitch to all the venture capitalists. This is a new technology that will change the world. It will revolutionize society. It will alter everything. This will change us into a different species. This is what you say to get funding now. This is typical. This is the typical sales pitch to get funding for your technology company now. Just say anything. Now, I just want to let you all know, if his name was not Elon Musk, if his name was Elon Jenkins, what? If his name was Jamal Musk, and he told you all that he had a robot that would eliminate poverty and provide universal high income for all, how does the response go then? Do you think, folks, Jamal, you sure all right? Your robot will represent the first breakthrough capable of ending. Do you all think that's the response you would get? Exactly, Jamal. We're so lucky to have Elon Jenkins and Tesla to be able to be the visionary behind this. The rest of you are just so short-sighted. But Mr. Jenkins, he knows. I'm just wondering, do y'all think that's the way it would go? If Elon Jenkins were to make this sales pitch, if y'all just fund my robot, it will eliminate poverty and provide universal everybody would be out when you said universal high income. When you say universal income, everybody would start leaving the room then. How does he make such a claim without a single piece of evidence to prove it? He's white. He's white. He's white. He's white. Thank you, Ahmad, in the chat room. You got it right. I was about to say Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes, Sam Bankman-Fried. Come on, Enron. Yeah, the only time they actually look at your books and scrutinize it is when you're us. When you're us, they actually look at the books and, okay, nigga, let's figure out where you lying. These other people, ain't nobody looking at the damn books. That's the only mess they do with us. Bernie Madoff, we can go down. They only do this mess for us. Of course, Bernie Madoff was not trying to sell a new product. Men's Daily, I was about to talk about that dude with WeWork because he went back and rinsed and repeat. WeWork is the quintessential example of this. Swear that selling office space is a new technology. So I'm just letting you know, yeah, if we try that, here comes the investigation. But you want to know how they do it? They're white. This is standard procedure. If you're white, you can do this. If you are white, you can do this. You can do this all day long. You will have stolen $7 or $8 billion before anybody asks any questions. But if it was us, it's like as soon as you ask for some money, okay, nigga, what you need money for? Okay, a robot. They would demand that you have a proof of concept before they did anything. You'd have to show them where you have this working on a micro scale already. You'd have to build a micro economy of it first before they would give you a penny. Elon can just say stuff. He can just say stuff and yeah. By the way,
people often talk about like eliminating poverty, giving everyone amazing medical care. Well, there's actually only one way to do that, and that's with the Optimus robot. With humanoid robots, you can actually give everyone amazing medical care. Optimus will ultimately be better than the best human surgeon with a level of precision that is beyond human. So I think that's a pretty wild concept to say, okay, if you know, people have always talked about eliminating poverty, but actually Optimus will actually eliminate poverty. Optimus will actually give people incredible medical care. You know, people often talk about like
people. Elon Musk is now telling you that if he gets proper funding for his robot idea, the latest in a long line of ideas, if he can just get all of you on board for his robot idea, this isn't just going to change the world. It's going to change economics. It's going to change this. We will be officially in Star Trek. Everything you saw in Star Trek, we will finally be there. If we can just get this one robot viable. The cure for poverty is not you and your children. That's not the cure. The cure for poverty is this robot. Right here. And if we could just do that, this is the solution to all of society's evils and ills. If you can just get his robot over the finish line. Ms. Casey, plenty of robots can walk. You might want to check on that. By the way, in this AI here, I'm looking at the drones. Anybody remember when Amazon said that we were going to have all of our packages delivered by drones? What? Anybody remember that? Hey, folks, you want to talk about folks selling ideas? Remember 60 Minutes, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Why, we're going to have all of your packages delivered by drones. Super Bowl ad. Remember? Yeah, you remember that? I do. Okay, even if you don't believe that Amazon could do it, where's the startup company doing it? Not that either. And they even said it during that 60 Minutes story. Well, that's really just for them to show their vision about what Amazon aspires to. Okay, wow. So pipe dreaming is a business model now? In America, yeah. Pipe dreaming is a business model. So I just thought you all would like to know that after what we talked about last night, if you were under the impression that they were done, oh, hell no. Oh, they got a whole new world of things to sell you now. Whole new world of it. Oh, if you just let them do their thing. Whole new world. Next thing I want to deal with here is, by the way, there are some folks out there who are sweating it out, and they probably should be. I'm not necessarily sure that this is the best way of approaching things. But down there in Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro is very, very worried tonight, and he should be, because Trump is just taking war criminal to a whole new level. But Nicolas Maduro, I saw this and I was like, this is a man who's panicking. I'm not going to call it cringe, but I'm going to say this is a man who's panicking. Folks, this is real.
Segundo punto de trabajo. Peace, peace, peace. Hacer todo por la paz.
Do everything for peace.
John Lennon, ¿no?
As John Lennon used to say, right?
¿Cómo era la canción de John Lennon?
Alfred Nazareth. How did the Lennon song go?
Us people. Mira, son jodedores, vale. Qué canción tan bella. La letra, para las más jóvenes, busquen la letra. Es una inspiración para todos los tiempos, es un himno para todas las épocas y generaciones.
Yeah, y'all, Nicolas Maduro started busting out into John Lennon's Imagine. Do you think he's worried? I'm just saying, y'all, do you think he's worried? Because I think he's worried. And I'm not mocking him for that. I'm like, he sounds worried to me, and he should be. But yeah, I think he's worried. I think he's worried. All right. So, by the way, that's another thing that should worry you. Because you see, when empires are in decline, and specifically when certain rulers know that they're on their way out, because Donald Trump's legal perils will skyrocket as soon as he leaves office, while a lot of them decide to just smash and grab everything they possibly can on their way out the door. And that might include your little country. You saw George W. Bush and Dick the Butcher Cheney do that. So if Trump feels like he's on his way out, he might feel like, let me go ahead and knock off Venezuela here right quick while I still can. Let me go ahead and do that while I still can. Welcome to the jungle. We have fun and games. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the link to the Zoom is now in the chat room. Kite Runner has not shown up on Zoom yet. Where are you? I don't see Kite Runner on Zoom here. They've had plenty of time. So Kite Runner the Courageous is starting to look like Courage the Cowardly Dog. So we're going to go ahead and send Kite Runner across that great divide, since Kite Runner apparently... we thought they were full of courage. Now they've just kind of given up on that. Yeah. All right, but the link to the Zoom has been at the top of the chat room here, folks. I know I had a lot to cover here tonight. I had a lot to cover, but it was necessary to do so. I wanted to make sure we touched all the angles. Here, so I wanted you all to go ahead and see what's happening here. The Democrats attempted to frighten everybody that if you don't support them and their perverted, contaminated party, that it'd be the end of the world. And I told you all, no, it will not be. No, it won't. And they lied. Of course they did. And now you take a look at what's happening, and where are all the people who swore up and down that if Trump took office, that would be the end, and MAGA would be the Third Reich or the Fourth Reich, and you Negroes gonna let Trump take over the world. How's that going so far? All the alarmists who were sitting up here trying to panic everybody. By the way, are you gonna see any of them come back and admit that they were stupid or wrong or lying? You're gonna see them, because I'm right here. I've stayed consistent. I haven't moved. I haven't wavered. I'm still right here. They've had every opportunity to contact me. I'm still right here. Where they at? Where did all of them go? Let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. We got Jay Wood over here on Zoom right quick. All right, we got Jay Wood here. All right, Jay Wood, what's on your mind?
Oh, well, Jason, I don't have a whole lot. I just was reflecting on the similarity between. Am I echoing?
No, you're fine, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Between this situation with the Indians and the freedmen, being replaced as the labor force in America. This is just the chickens coming home to roost. They did it to our ancestors, and now they're doing it to you.
Well, I mean, these are just overblown things here. I mean, I need people to recognize the difference. I have to remind you all, they were predicting flying cars from the moment that you had viable airplanes. Okay, remember the Jetsons. We are no closer to a viable flying car today than we were when the Jetsons were on TV. And they swore up and down about that. So you and me grew up as children watching that. And we are no closer to that today than we were 70, 80 years ago. You have people out here pretending that they're flying drones around. I'm like, okay, and then you go take a look at it. If you want a technology to take over, you're going to have to show that it is at least comparable or superior to your current technology. The automobile took over from the horse and buggy because first it was comparable and then immediately superior. Nobody took it seriously until it was comparable. And once it showed that was it. So, no, these people are going to make all these incredible claims and all of these outrageous, outlandish sales pitches. And in reality, it's what they've learned in business is there's a lot of venture capital out there, and just see the business model now is to grab as much of that as you can. Make a bunch of incredible claims, claim you're going to revolutionize things, get a bunch of people to put in a bunch of money on the front end, front load it, and then you're gone. They don't create products and services, they create bubbles. So no, sir, the workforce, remember, in reality, it'll always be cheaper to have people. The truth of the matter is the market can never drop lower than people. It's always more expensive to manufacture something. People are free. That's why slavery worked so well. People are free, man. People are free. And if you're worried about the labor force, remember that is the whole issue about the illegals is what? Well, that whole underground economy is exempt from the minimum wage laws. Okay, well, about the government. Dude, the government's protecting it. They're playing both sides of the fence, man. The government's not trying to shut that down. The government's protecting the damn thing. Yeah, so they say these, I don't want you all to sit up here and frighten yourselves and confuse yourselves, y'all. Look beyond the hype. Look beyond the sales pitch. Look beyond the propaganda. Look at what's actually happening. That's what it is.
Well, to be honest with you, if a government can't close its borders, how can it ever win a war? Its own borders. How could it ever win a war? That's just on its face. If you can't control your own borders, I don't see how you could go halfway around the world and control somebody else's.
That's not that. I mean, it's gangsterism.
Yeah, I don't think you can pull it off. If you can't close your own borders, it's crazy. I also want to say, Jason, that watching what's happening, I don't know what the Chinese are saying about technology. Well, I know what they're saying, but I don't know if it's true or not. They may be just putting it out there to cause confusion, but they are saying they have capabilities that's frightening in the sense that they can, if they have laser-based data networks and quantum computers and phased array radar, they can see anything flying in this atmosphere. And that may be the reason why we are seeing all this rush to these huge data centers.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out what that's about. I think they already know what they're doing with it. But as far as that stuff is concerned, I just don't want you all to fall for an overblowing of it. That's the most important thing. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me see if I can get Jay up here on Zoom with me right quick. Let me see if we can get Jay up here on Zoom. Okay, Jay may have dipped out. There you go. Okay, Jay, what's on your mind?
Yeah, you said a lot of stuff from this program and the last one. So I guess I'll just pick one thing to ask you about. So yeah, Trump was kind of a unique character because he had the white supremacist credentials from the whole birther stuff, but he was also famous enough to not really need, the typical Republican, money behind him. So that's kind of like a unique person. So I'm just wondering what you think is going to be the next move for America First, or the so-called America First movement. Because
the problem is that Trump fooled folk into thinking that he was not a typical politician, and he was. That's the only real genius and advent of Trump and the MAGA. He convinced all these people that he was not politics as usual, and he was. That's the point. Trump is politics as usual. And now everybody's just starting now to realize politics as usual is corrupt, and he's just, only difference between him and them is he's more corrupt than the others were. But it's politics as usual. That's the only thing that he fooled everybody about. He fooled everybody into thinking he wasn't. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Now they just see it and they have to accept it. And now you got 3 more years of it. America First, dude, that's a slogan. MAGA's a slogan. America First is a slogan. Its purpose is to sell the population on it. And it worked. So what does America First look like? It looks like what you see right now. It looks like that.
Yeah, because I can't really think of anybody that they could put up that could pull that off again. Maybe Tucker Carlson if he decides to run. But I just don't see anybody else that could pull off that type of con. So, is it just going to be, we're just going to have a regular Republican? It's just going to be, like the
this is what they wanted there. It's going to go back to the status quo. Choosing the lesser of the two evils from your non-celebrity con men. Gavin Newsom is the non-celebrity politician con man. Kamala Harris, Ron DeSantis. Trump was just your celebrity con man. Now you're going to go back to your lame, grassroots, non-celebrity political con men. That's what you're going to go back to here now. And it'll be very, very lame and very, very silly. So, because here's the real thing. The real thing is that the difference is that Trump made politics exciting. He made it where you want to pay attention. Because unfortunately, to sell something, you have to keep an attention span. Most politicians can't do that. So they have to flood the zone with money, and you're going to have election day no matter what occurs. So they got that on their side, is that there's going to be an election day, even if the people are unenthused. If you had somebody who was a good enough salesman, it would work. So Trump just understood he was a better salesman than the other people. These other guys are lame. I'm a better salesman. And he was correct. So if you had somebody who could do that, that'd be different. The problem is that most politicians come across as abysmal bores. And so their salesmanship was never on his level. That's the only thing that made him special. Last time we saw anybody close to him was Bill Clinton. That's the last time we saw anything like that. And even Clinton didn't have the sales chops that Trump does. So as far as America First and stuff, it's like, no, those are slogans. Now, I'm not saying these are not things that they believe in, but what I'm saying is everything's become a bait and switch, which is the whole reason why you had the populist movement in the first place, because people have grown tired of the bait and switch. Whether that will materialize in somebody else, I don't know. I will tell you one thing. If you choose from any of the current people in office right now, it's going to be just more of the same. And that includes Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you choose from any of them in office right now, it just becomes more of the same. So you'd have to have somebody who's currently not on the board. Well, what about Tucker Carlson? Folks, I mean, I'm sure you all mean well. I'm sure you do. But Tucker Carlson, Stephen A. Smith, we can go down the list. It's not going to be a YouTuber who does it. I need you all to understand, Nick Fuentes or whatever, these things play online. It doesn't play in real life. It doesn't. Because they're going to be asked questions about themselves that are not being asked. Nobody's asking any questions to Tucker Carlson right now. Nobody. Nobody's asking questions to Nick Fuentes. Nobody. They just get on places that are friendly to them and talk to each other. What they don't do is go to places that'll put them under real scrutiny. So that's what happens when you have to get elected. You have to go in places where you get put under real scrutiny. And, your average YouTuber is not going to be able to do that.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, so like last night you said a lot of stuff too. I mean, I don't know if you want to move on to somebody else, but I was gonna ask, do you think that like the white birth rate kind of declining, and you got all these kind of white incels that nobody wants to start a family with. Do you think that that's kind of why they're kind of pushing to lower the age of consent, or is that just?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons that may be involved there, but the bottom line is you're going up against a myriad of strategies and a myriad of different directions. It's not just one thing. They have a common complaint, but how you remedy it, that's where the variances are coming. And that's also where the fights are coming, because they can't agree on exactly getting everybody behind a singular direction is the real issue. Can you get enough people behind a similar direction, where behind a similar policy? It's one thing to get folks behind a politician. The real trick is, can you get them behind a common policy? So yeah, you have a lot of things just dangling out there, but there's the issue. But is it a concern? To an extent, because the real problem is when you become more affluent, you worry less about having children. So that becomes a difficult thing, trying to sell them on the idea that children are the answer. If we could just get more children, that'll fix poverty. You see what I mean? Children cost things. So you need more kids. Yeah, but it costs. You can't afford to have them. So even if you need them and you can't afford to have them, now what? So that's where the conflicts come from in that regard. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me see if we can Onan up here on Zoom for me right quick. Let me see if we can get Onan up here on Zoom right quick. Yeah, folks, these people are worried, and it's only going to get worse from here. It's only going to get worse from here. All right, we got Onan up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Onan?
What's up, Brother Jason? So I believe that the Democrats keep using the Republicans as like the boogeyman to scare black people into voting for the Democrats. It's guaranteeing that they have a voter base that they can rely on whenever election time comes around, so that they don't have to make any solid proclamations. They don't have to make any promises that we can hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they come through on. And that's why we're not able to leverage power, like let's say the Jewish community in Brooklyn, who have their own auxiliary of the NYPD. It's incredible, because if you think about it, you can't think of a more qualifying ethnic group for a law enforcement apparatus specifically to the ethnic group than black people in New York City. And yet we don't have something like that because we don't know how to leverage power like the Jewish people in Brooklyn. And I think that's the reason why, the Democrats just keep voting for Democrats instead of actually doing something for black people.
Well, I mean, being able to leverage power, though, first you have to have it. And you have to have it at a local level, family level, street level, block level. They made sure they decimated at all levels. Because power is something you have to learn. Power isn't just something that's intrinsic. In a sophisticated capitalistic society, power, you have to learn how to use it. What even is quote unquote power? What is that? So it's not enough to just say, okay, other folks know how to use it and we don't. We haven't even been allowed to learn what it is, much less exercise it. Certainly not. They don't want us to be able to learn what it is or exercise it on any level. This is the forbidden knowledge, the forbidden fruit. So the whole society coordinates. The government policy is to make sure you have none. So how can you learn something you've never been taught when it must be taught? It's not something you can really just knock around through. I mean, you can do it, but you put yourself in outrageous amounts of harm, which is how you end up with the street economy, which is criminalized. So power is more sophisticated than just using a word. You have to learn how to use it. There's hard power. There's soft power. You can't use it with everybody. You can have it, but you can't use it with everybody. You can't use it on everybody. You can't knock everybody down. You make enemies that way. So it's really Machiavellian. These are things you have to be taught. Otherwise, power becomes self-destructive. So I went to the explanation to say power is not just a slogan. MAGA is a slogan. America First is a slogan. Power is not a slogan. Power is a real physical, tangible thing that does real physical, tangible things. And if you're not taught how to use it as an individual and then as groups, because remember, white supremacy is collaborative. White supremacy is not just a bunch of loose radicals out here. It's collaborative. The only thing they disagree about is on how they accomplish their goals, but it's collaborative. So power isn't just a bunch of self-interested individuals pursuing their own self-interest. Thomas Sowell's an idiot. That's not the way power works. Otherwise, you would become self-destructive, which is what happened with Trump right now. He was collaborative. Now he's self-centered. Here comes the self-destruction. And anybody would have taught him this. And he did know that, but he's on his way out the door. So just be aware. What you're saying has some truth to it there, but that's why it's more important for us to be on code, because power starts as a microcosm. It starts as on a smaller level, and then you can start talking about other people exercise power. You do it like that. There's pieces you have to have in place before you can do that.
Not only that, but I believe that when you operate through a lens of getting power, like such as the Jewish religion, when they operate through actually getting power, so they look at Jewish iconography as representation of the religion, which reminds them that they are focused on achieving one thing. They operate in unity, which I think would benefit foundational Black Americans if we vote in kind, if we use the Christian church, since many of us are Christian. If we use the iconography of the Christian church to represent power in our interest. But I'll land there, brother. Be one.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here. I would tell you all there that, by the way, the most powerful groups, make sure they're hidden. The most powerful groups don't want you to see anything. So my issue with iconography would be, by the way, when you actually take a look at what is actually employed to use in power, it's not really iconography. The most powerful groups don't have any symbols that they use. Take a look at Chase Bank, Citibank. What's the iconography that they all gather around? They have a company logo, but that's not iconography. So the most powerful people actually want to remain invisible. You don't see anything. You don't hear anything. There's nothing you can point to say, oh, take a look at that symbol over there. There they are. They make sure you don't have that. All right, let's see if we can get Huey up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Huey, what's on your mind?
Not much, brother. Beautiful broadcast as always. And you know what? This is good. For once, as you predicted it, these guys were going to kill each other. And it was an accurate description. And this is also beautiful because they cannot blame it on Black folks, because we have no hand in this. We're focusing on ourselves. And now we have the power to get what we actually want from these politicians. What we can do is we can change our own course now, and they can't do nothing about it. No fear mongering, none of that gender divide. It's not going to work anymore with us. It's either you come with something to give us or you can kick rocks. But I'm happy that we're seeing that the whole establishment is just eating each other apart.
Well, look, I told you all what's going to happen last year. While the rest of the old dead Black media was misleading people, being stupid, and coming to all the wrong conclusions, and now they're not going to say any of the stuff they said last year. They're not going to come back and review the fact that they were wrong. I told you all that power was going to destroy them. I told you all that they were not ready for power, and when they get handed power, they're going to start destroying themselves. Because they didn't have an actual unified idea of what they were going to do with it. They wanted for their own petty self-interest. And I said the worst thing that can happen to them is to win, because now they'll have power. And the only thing they can use the power for now is to go after each other, because white supremacy is exclusive. And I told you all, if they actually do win, they're not going to stop with the fighting. They're just going to start targeting each other, which is what you see happening now. Now they're just targeting each other. That's the best they could think to do when they got power. Go. We need a new enemy to go after. If you've defeated the woke and the niggers, well, now we need a new enemy to rally around, and now they're fighting over who that new enemy will be to unite them, because the ideology is supported by who they hate and who they have power over. And now they're trying to figure out a new target to unify around, but in the chaos of it, now they're tearing each other apart.
And it's beautiful. I remember that when you had your documentary where you did race war, and you went over the things with the whole Charlottesville. I remember seeing like all the white supremacists like Richard Spencer, all of them wearing MAGA hats. Nowadays, you don't even see them anymore. Even Nick Fuentes, I saw, wore a MAGA hat. Now he flipped on Trump like it's like a pancake. So what I'm thinking is that when these guys are not in control, they'll find a way to get in control. And then once when they get in control, then it's going to be okay. It's going to be a free-for-all for the top.
The free-for-all is here now. Look, they just wanted to get through the election of 2024. They were able to unite around the goal of stopping Kamala Harris, and they succeeded. But they didn't have a goal after that. Stop Kamala Harris, and then as if one person getting elected to the presidency was going to fix everything. Well, it certainly fixed some things, but what it did was it gave them breathing space. It gave them breathing room. And now you see what they're using the breathing room for. They're using it to settle old scores. They're using it to make new targets. They're using it to apply personal litmus tests. They're using it for that. And here's the real problem. The real problem is the guy that they fought so hard for to put in charge. He is not quelling the riots and corralling the cats and stopping the nonsense. He's just being Jerry Springer. He's just letting everybody fight, as opposed to stepping in there and doing differently. Because I got to remind you all, you never would have seen this under Barack Obama. You couldn't imagine that this is what the Democrats would be doing under Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or Joe Biden, for that matter. With Trump sitting there, like I say, this is not how you run a political party or a government. You don't do this, especially with a guy who claims to be so all-powerful. This is not what you do. Everybody's supposed to be on code. Everybody's supposed to be pulling the line. And he's not doing any of that. People are allowed to speak openly and whatnot. He allowed them to do that before. Twitter can be a free speech zone.
Yeah.
When you're the leader of a political party, that's not a free speech zone. Folks start speaking against you, that got to get dealt with on site, on the spot. And he's never did it that way. So he's running it like a reality TV show to keep up interest and keep up ratings. Okay, but you've allowed open dissent. And open dissent eventually becomes open rebellion. Yep. And that's what you've seen it deteriorate into now. Especially, as I said before, when you consider that, dude, most of these cats here don't like you to begin with. You're just the guy who won. Most of them would very much like to see you deteriorate. And you've done nothing to deal with that. Not a thing.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is being allowed to sit down there in Florida and so openly, brazenly amass power for himself. Or he thinks he's going to do it for his wife. And you ain't did nothing. You've done nothing about it. He's just sitting up here snatching up all the silverware and stealing all the valuables. And meanwhile, the party is sunk into disarray. This chaos is a result of having a leader who ain't leading.
No, definitely. Well, not only that, I also see infighting in the Democrats as well. So when you have someone that is so self-centered and only thinks about himself, it's going to show in every fashion of life. And that also opened our eyes as Black folks, like, okay, well, hey, this is what the true white supremacist is, and you can't filter it, you can't put makeup on it, and you cannot deceive the people. Even now, white folks are now crying about this more so than we are. We knew about this like the whole time, and we warned people like John the Baptist, and we told people like, hey, this is not going to go well when you do that. When you promote freaking Trayvon Martin getting killed, you basically promoted open season on anybody. And at this point, like, only thing we can do as Black folks is like, we're just going to sit and watch, we'll react.
Well, the reason why this won't work is because you can't truly destabilize Trump unless you have something to replace him with. The reason why you could resist Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and Ron DeSantis is because you had Trump to replace them with. Who are you going to replace Trump with now? Who is there that everybody would similarly rally around? Who? You take a look at all the options, and there isn't anybody of similar gravitas. So there's the reason why they will not be able to, they can't really pivot right now, because you don't have anybody that you could use. There's no one waiting right now who could really challenge him as far as the people can say, okay, we're done with Trump, let's shift over here. After Bill Clinton, we could shift to Obama. After George W. Bush, you could shift to Trump. There's nobody they can go to. And this is why it's going to just keep getting worse. Anybody who does jump up doesn't have any credibility. The career politicians, nobody's going to trust them. And there isn't a newcomer that people are going to really rally behind. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Look, Thomas Massie is a very good insurgent, but Thomas Massie, I mean, like I say, he doesn't have that it factor. He doesn't have the star power. He's got positions. He's a sincere individual, but he's kind of folksy. He doesn't have that star power thing. So Thomas Massie is not very charismatic. Thomas Massie is very easy to miss and overlook in a crowd. Now, that should not be the basis on which we choose leaders, but unfortunately, in this society, it is. It's got nothing to do with your capability, your competence, or your sincerity. So in this society, unfortunately, that's the means by which they make those decisions. So Thomas Massie's not very charismatic. Without that, he will just disappear in the crowd. He would have to get that fixed and resolved before he could be, better than that. Rand Paul is about as exciting as wet paper towels. And plus he's a libertarian. So when Rand Paul starts giving out his real positions, he's going to get taken down on cultural issues, certainly racial issues. So Rand Paul's not viable. That ship sailed and sunk back in the early 2000s with his dad, who was not viable either. The libertarian position has too many holes in it. It's not something that masses of people would really want to get behind. When you actually start explaining to people what you really believe as a libertarian and what it really means and what it really stands for, they're going to start breaking for the exits. They're going to start breaking for the exits. So there's the reason why you can get one or two politicians to get elected by it. You can't rally a whole party behind it when they start going into what they really believe. So, like I say, they're on their way out. They're on their way down. All the folks who supported this all this time, they're not coming back to come tell you all that they were wrong. You're going to have some people who are going to try to be in denial and swear MAGA's not dead. It's just hit a speed bump right now. Those people are going to keep lying. They have to. They're in denial. They put all their eggs in that basket. They have to keep saying it, but just remember who told you first. Remember who told you first. Remember who told you often. And that'll be it. I saw MAGA when it was in its ascendancy. And I was telling you what MAGA was going to be after the fact. And this is where you are now. This is where you are now. And the Democrats will try to sit up here and keep pumping it up and this, that, and the other. But as a political force, it's not 2016 anymore, folks. It's a decade later. Do you realize that? It is a decade later. It is not a political force. MAGA is dead and Trump killed it. Well, Jason, what could he have done differently? He should have chosen one major issue. One super major issue. I think the issue should have been housing. He should have chosen one super major issue, housing, and then say, and these are all the other things that I need to do so that this will be possible. Then you push through the big, beautiful bill, which is centered on fixing the housing issue. And you can do everything from education to border control to clean up the banks to Israel, stopping them sending money to Israel or supporting foreign causes and consolidating the budget. You could have done everything around that. Get rid of the illegals. You could have done everything around the policy of, look, we have to increase the housing stock. We need to build 10 million new homes. And this is the legislation that will do it. And he could have had everything else come off of that. People will sacrifice when they know what they are sacrificing for. People will take inconvenience when they know what they're taking the inconvenience for. And people will tolerate you doing things that they maybe don't understand when they know why you're doing it. They might not understand what's happening, but they understand why it's happening. You're just doing a bunch of random wild things and nobody can really quite figure it out. But if you go back to this, the part of the housing thing, we explained this here before. Okay, now people are like, okay, we get it. Instead, what he did was he went in, he brought in the border patrol. He's tried to rule as a Unitarian president. He's tried to do everything by executive order when you need to have legislation. This is how you get shut down in court, handing out a bunch of wanky executive orders. You get legislation and okay, well, there goes that. And he didn't do that because he really got in office to do a smash and grab shoplifting scheme with his kids. And that's where things went bad. It went bad there. But where he went wrong was everybody could have gotten behind that. The young, the old, the poor, the affluent. Everyone knows we have a severe housing issue. And that would have been the issue that would allow him to deal with all the others. But you see, that wasn't going to occur either, because Donald Trump is a real estate man, and keeping housing values high and real estate values high is the only, that's where, just like Elon creams off money from pumping stock prices, Trump's wealth is in pumping up the real estate market. So Trump would not actually pass legislation that would actually send real estate values down because he depends on an inflated real estate market. He doesn't want to deflate the market. That's the only place he has money in. So you see, that would not happen either. Even though, had he done that, that would actually fix everything else. Or at least that one issue could be leveraged to fix everything else. People, the Democrats couldn't touch him. The Libertarians couldn't touch him. At that point right there would be nobody who could touch him. He's in charge of the federal government. All the states would line up to get with the program. Just like you had the crime bill in the 80s and the 90s, you could use the federal government to get the local and county municipalities to change their zoning laws. Just like you used 3 strikes to get them to change their laws in their states to model the feds, you could use it here to get the states and the counties to model whatever the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say that these zoning laws need to be. Hey, if y'all want more federal money, you have to change your zoning laws to meet this federal standard. Man, if you did that, okay, we got $2 trillion to give out here, but y'all got to change these zoning laws. That would have done it. But your government's been captured by the oligarchs, so that's the reason it didn't happen. So now you understand why. But if you want to know what could have fixed this, that would have fixed it. And then you do all these other things that spoke off that wheel. What will it take, Jason? It will take for the suffering in white society to become so severe that they can no longer base their votes on white supremacy first. The suffering will have to become so severe and so all-encompassing and so inescapable that they don't get to listen to the usual con men. That's what would have to happen. That's what would have to happen. However, in the meantime, just watch all the folks who are going to tell you MAGA's good, MAGA's great, everything's fine. This dude don't know what he's talking about. And it's like, okay. You tell me over the next year whether MAGA gets stronger or whether MAGA gets weaker. If I'm wrong, then MAGA will be stronger in a year from now. If I'm wrong, then Trump will have a new piece of signature legislation that he'll be able to push through next year. If I'm wrong, there will be a new signature piece of legislation. If I'm wrong. But if I'm right, he's not really going to be able to push through anything of any significance. and you will see more open defections. There will be more Marjorie Taylor Greens, not fewer. So if I'm wrong, you'll see a big piece of legislation and you'll see more MAGAs. If I'm right, he won't get anything significant through, and there will be more Marjorie Taylor Greens and more open defections within the next 6 calendar months to 1 year. That's what the second year of the second Trump administration is going to hold. If I'm right. Stay tuned, sports fans. It won't take very long to see. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent Black thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button, click that notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future and the future is uncompromised.